So, good evening, students, and welcome to another episode of Power Up Your English. So, what are we doing today? Accidents and illnesses. So, something a little bit more serious. Usually, I always like to start my lessons with a song, but unfortunately I have copyright problems making you listen to the songs online. So I'm actually playing the songs on my computer, I can't. So if you would like, you can go to lyrics training and choose and select Head Above Water by Avril Lavigne. Why? Because it is a song about a chronic illness. So tonight we're doing accidents and illnesses, so it would be very much appropriate. Very good. Let's start. So what's the first thing we need to do? We need to talk about illnesses, and maybe if we have a problem on holiday and we need the doctor, we need to be able to tell the doctor where the problem is. So where? Somewhere in our body. So please try and find a partner maybe and try and name as many body parts as you can. And once you've done, so pause the video now. Okay, so let's have a look. Here are the body parts in English. So as you can see, you can be very specific when talking to your doctor. So here you have all of the body parts. That's the front part of your body, and that is the back. Very good. So how do we talk about illnesses, or perhaps if we have an accident and we hurt ourselves and we have pain somewhere? So we have two ways of describing pain in English. We can talk about pain and aches. For example, we can say, what's a pain? We can say, I have pain. You should say, I have pain in my, and you can be specific, in my leg, in my foot, or in my belly, for example, in my stomach. The belly and the stomach are very close. Or you can talk in terms of ache. For example, you can say that you have a headache, or you have a stomach ache, or a little bit further down you have a belly ache, or perhaps you have a toothache. So what is the difference? Pain is usually stronger, more sudden, and more difficult to ignore. You would feel pain, perhaps, when you cut yourself or hit your head on something. An ache instead is a discomfort that continues for some time. It is usually associated with a specific part of the body, such as the head, the stomach, the tooth, or the ear. So we tend to add ache at the end of a specific body part. So it's more chronic, goes on for a long time. Pain is something stronger and more sudden. Let's have a look at some common problems that we can have. We can hurt, for example, and that means to feel pain in a part of your body. So I can say, I have a pain in my leg, or you can say, my leg hurts, or my foot hurts. Or perhaps we can itch. Itch is an uncomfortable sensation on the skin that causes a desire to scratch. You usually itch when you have an allergy or a rash. Eczema, for example, or to sting. To sting is to feel a keen burning pain. So it's a lot of pain concentrated in a small area. So for example, you have a stinging pain in my stomach. So you can itch in your ear, you can itch everywhere actually, but it's very common to have an itch in your ear. your foot can hurt. Maybe if you bang it against something, if you fall down and you hurt your foot, and you can have a stinging sensation. That's usually something which comes from the inside. That is something a bit more serious. Now, grammar. Let's have a look at some grammar. Why? Today I would like to introduce the present perfect tense. So before we get into it, let's start doing a little bit of exercises on your book to better understand how to talk about illnesses and accidents. So we also have the emergency number. So this unit is very important if you're going on holiday and you need help from the emergency services. Here is 911. You can have 999, 144, 112. Every country has a different code, an emergency dial number. So my phrase of the day is get well soon, so gute Besserung. So even if you had a holiday illness or an accident that happened, I hope you get well soon. So let's start. Let's have a look at some photos. So here we have 4 situations and we have 4 speech bubbles. So let's have a look. I've been bitten by a mosquito. Which photo is it? I've got terrible diarrhea. I hope I haven't got the norovirus. I've got an upset stomach. I think I've got food poisoning. I've been stung by a jellyfish. So, I've been bitten by a mosquito. That would be number 4, of course. I've got terrible diarrhea. You can see here the poor chap sat on the toilet. So, that's definitely number 3. Then I've got an upset stomach. This lady, can you see she's holding her stomach in? She's got pain. I've been stung by a jellyfish. So fish, we know what a fish is in the water. So this is a jellyfish. So now actually let's listen to what happened to these people on holiday. We have Sarah and Clive. So let's listen to what happened to them and then let's try and answer the questions.
1B.
Have you ever been ill when you were on holiday, Sarah?
Well, now you come to mention it, yes. I had really bad food poisoning when we were in India last year. It was terrible. I had an upset stomach, stomach cramps, diarrhea.
Don't go into details, please.
Okay. And my husband was bitten by a mosquito. His whole arm swelled up. It was terrible.
I'm sure it was. Poor thing.
Well, how about you? Have you ever been ill on holiday?
No, not really. I've always been quite lucky. I was stung by a jellyfish when I was a kid. That was painful.
I bet. Poor you.
Okay, so what was wrong? What happened to Sarah's husband, and Clive? So Sarah had really bad food poisoning. So she had an upset stomach because of food poisoning. She had diarrhea as well, she said. And Sarah's husband actually got bitten by a mosquito. And Clive was stung by a jellyfish when he was young. So, what was the question that Sarah asked Clive? Actually, Sarah asked Clive, have you ever had an upset stomach on holiday? Have you ever been ill on holiday? Yes, I had food poisoning on holiday last year or in 2010, 2 years ago. Or no, I haven't. Knock wood. So I have always been quite lucky. So touch wood would be in the UK, knock on wood in America. And in fact, here it says your grammar check, present perfect, because this is the construction we're looking for. Have you ever had, or have you ever been? So let's go back to our slide and let's have a look at the present perfect tense. So we have the subject as usual, I in this case, or Sarah or Clive, just a subject. And then, as you have noticed maybe already, we have the verb to have in the simple present. So remember that when you have the third person singular like Clyde, Sarah, he, she, or it, you need to add the s, and have becomes has. Plus what? Plus past participle. How do we form the past participle? Past participle, so you add d, like the simple past, do you remember? But careful, because there are a lot of irregular verbs, as you have seen, and in my previous lessons, I've taken you through all of the irregular verbs. So, for example, try is regular, so I have tried. But did you notice that we have had? Had is certainly irregular because we have, had, had. And what about the verb to be? How does it change? So, I am, you are, she, it is. How does it change? It becomes been. So, have you ever been ill on holiday? And here we have some questions. So remember that for questions we need to put always the auxiliary verb, the helping verb, the helps verb in front. So it goes before the subject. So we put our auxiliary verb first, have, and then had as or been or tried or stung or bitten, any other verb. So why we used the present perfect is to talk about experiences. So we use it to express things you have done in your life, so or that have happened to you. Very good. And let's click here for extra practice. So actually it would take you to this live worksheet. Here you have a little bit of grammar, it shows you the sentence structure, and here you can practice with ever and never. So you have different exercises, for example exercise 1, and you can type inside your live sheet. And for example, let's open a new one for you, and as you can see now it's blank. And you can type, for example, exercise number 1, write the sentences using the present perfect. I remember, so the auxiliary verb, in this case it would be have, because we have I. What about Carol? Has, remember third person. So I have, and then we have the verb see. Remember, see is an irregular verb. And how does it change? It becomes see, saw, seen. So I have seen this film once. Carol has, remember, third person, paint. Paint is regular. So what did we say? We add ed, like the simple past. So this becomes painted. Carol has painted her bedroom. What about ever? So shall we try and construct some sentences? So here we have be. Do you remember? Be becomes been, and we need to put have in front of it before the subject. And then we just have this ever, which we add in between. So let's practice. For example, have. So we said that's the first one. Let's put a subject. Let's use you. Have you? Then we need to add ever, ever. And in this case, we have be is irregular, as I have said, and it becomes been. So have you ever been to Africa? Very good. Now, here you just have to add just. You can do this if you like, it's very easy. My aunt has just phoned. I have just finished my homework. Just remember the position to put it in between the subject and the helping verb, the auxiliary verb. Now, fill in the gaps using gone or been. Okay, we've seen been. What about gone? Is the past participle of go. Do you remember go? Go, went, gone. Very good. So for example, hi Sam, I haven't seen you for 2 weeks. Where have you And here you can choose if you want to use been or you want to use gone. When you have exercise number 5 is very easy. You just need to choose the correct option. So, for example, have or has. Here we have Tim. Tim, third person singular. So do you remember what happened? Yes, we add the S. Well done. When you have finished, you can press finish. You can check your answer. And in this case, we haven't done much, 1 out of 10, of course. But if you complete the exercise, it will give you a score. Brilliant. So, as we have seen, we can ask 2 questions. Have you ever been or have you ever had when we talk about illnesses? For example, have you ever been bitten by a dog or bitten by a snake, something which has teeth? And what about stung? Have you ever been stung by a jellyfish, for example, as in our photo in our book before, or by a wasp, by a bee? Or we can simply ask, have you ever had? Careful, because sometimes, as in a cold, a rash, we need to add the indeterminate indeterminate article, and sometimes we need to add the determinate article. I can't speak today, very sorry. The flu, for example, and sometimes we have no article at all. So, as in food poisoning. So, have you ever had a cold, or have you ever had a rash, or have you ever had food poisoning, or have you ever had the flu, or maybe something more specific like the COVID-19 virus? Brilliant. Now, let's go back to our book. So, as you can see here, have you ever had or have you ever been? And we can, how do we reply? I had or I was. Clive was stung, for example, by a jellyfish. Remember that with bitten and stung, we need to include the agent. So, stung by what? Bitten by what? And if you go to page 222, you can have a full list of possible illnesses as well. Now, let's move on. Here, once maybe we have a problem, so what do if we have a problem? Maybe we go to the doctor. And what is the doctor going to do? The doctor is going to prescribe something. He's going to give us something for our illness. So let's find out what all of these medicine, these drugs are. So let's listen to the pronunciation first.
2A. Antibiotics.
Antihistamine tablets.
Soluble aspirin.
Medicine.
Ointment.
Painkillers.
Travel sickness pills.
Sachet.
Very good. So which one is which? So as you can see, number 3 is antibiotics. Number 7, antihistamine tablets. Number 1, that's aspirin. It's usually soluble aspirin, when it's in a glass with water. And medicine in general is number 8. So this is usually what you give to children. Number 6 is ointment. Number 2 is painkillers. Number 4, of course, is travel sickness pill. That can be for air sickness or for the car, perhaps, or for the boat. Seasickness, air sickness, or simply car sickness. And then we have sachets as well. Very good. So, you need to find the medicine your partner usually takes. I would like to remind you that when you talk about something which happens all the time, to use the present simple for habits and routines. For example, what do you usually take for? It's something that you do all the time, every day or every week. You still need to use the present simple, so not the present perfect we've just seen. Also remember that in England, the pharmacy is called a chemist. They do understand if you say pharmacy, but it's better to call it chemist. Number 3A. Now, there are a lot of people have had some problems on holiday. So let's find out what the doctor is going to recommend.
3A. 1.
I don't feel well. Can you give me something for an upset stomach, please?
Let me see. Here's some medicine. Shake the bottle well before you take it.
Thanks.
3A. 1.
I don't feel well. Can you give me something for an upset stomach, please?
Let me see. Here's some medicine. Shake the bottle well before you take it.
Thanks.
2.
I have a sore throat. I've got a prescription.
Thanks. Here you are. They're antibiotics, so don't drink alcohol while you're taking them. But you should drink plenty of water, and they might make you feel dizzy or drowsy, so you shouldn't drive.
Oh, thanks.
3.
My daughter's got constipation. Can you give me something for it, please?
Here are some tablets. They're quite big, but you shouldn't crush them. She should swallow them whole with a glass of water. And here are some sachets. Take 3 a day with plenty of water.
Okay, so number 3A, what was the problem? What's the problem? What did these people have? So, number 1 had an upset stomach. Number 2 had a sore throat. She couldn't even speak. And number 3, constipation. So now let's listen again. Which medication does the pharmacist give to the tourist? So if we go to a pharmacy, so number 1 gave some medicine, just some normal medicine. Then number 2, actually she needed antibiotics. And number 3, tablets and sachets. Now if you listen again, what is the pharmacist's advice? Here we had 3 dialogues and we have to complete the dialogue. So please listen again to the audio file and try to complete the dialogue on your own. And now check. So let's have a look. Number 1, of course, was shake. Shake the bottle well before you take it. I would like to remind you that shake is imperative mood. So when the pharmacist or the doctors gives us some advice, sometimes it would give us advice in using the imperative mood, the imperative form. So do you remember when we have the imperative mood, there is no subject in front of it and the verb goes in the main form, the base form. So just shake. Shake the bottle well before you take it. Now, number 2, don't drink what? Don't drink alcohol while you're taking them, but you should drink plenty of water and you shouldn't drive. In this case, as you can see, To give advice, the pharmacist uses the verb should, which is a modal verb. Remember that after a modal verb, again, the main verb goes in the base form. And you can also use the negative. You shouldn't. So it is strongly recommended that you do not do this thing. So you shouldn't what? You shouldn't drive on antibiotics. Dialogue number 3. So we learned you shouldn't crush them. She should swallow them whole with a glass of water. Very good. So we said we have this should, so at the doctor. So when we go to the doctor, there are specific ways in which we need to talk to our doctor. So here in this slide, I have prepared for you. So first of all, some common problems and some useful vocabulary. And actually, you can also watch this video from Papa English, which is very entertaining. And I'm going to let you watch this at home on your own, again for copyright issues. So this is very good. I'm just going to show you a little extract.
Ask you about what's brought you in. So tell me about what's been going on. Tell me about what's brought you in today.
Okay, well, for 2 days, I've been having cramps. So notice, grammatically, I said, I've been having cramps. I used present perfect because it's from a past time until now. I've been having cramps.
Okay, so with all symptoms, that's something that, a medical thing that's going on, that's what we call a symptom, the doctor would want to explore that symptom in more detail.
Okay.
So with this particular one, I'd ask you, where do you have the pain?
It feels like it's in the bottom of my stomach, in the lower part of my stomach.
Okay. So the stomach, we actually think of being quite high up, but actually people think the stomach means the whole of the abdomen, the whole of the tummy as well, but we can use it interchangeably. So that's why it's important for us. It doesn't matter if you use these layman's terms. We have to identify that and find out. So I might say, can you show me where you're having the pain? So you could get me to point out.
I told you I was stupid. But no, that's really interesting. So in English, we say my stomach or my belly. Just this whole area is my stomach or my belly. Mm-hmm. Right? Okay, cool. So
I know where the pain is now.
Right.
And you've given me a bit of a hint that's been going on for 2 days. So with this, I'd want to know what I'd call the FIDO. So I want to know its frequency. So I'd ask you, how often do you have the pain?
It's about every hour, and it lasts about 10 minutes.
Okay, good. So within that as well, you've also given me the duration. So that's the D in FIDO. So you give me the frequency, so how often you get it, and you've given me the duration. So when you get it, how long it lasts for. So the I is for the intensity. So I'd like you to give me a score.
Right.
Like how, at worst, how bad is the pain?
Okay, so in general, it's about a 5, but last night it was so bad that I fainted. To faint means you lose consciousness, you fall over, or another phrasal verb, to pass out. So I could say, last night the pain was so bad I passed out.
Okay, so I want to explore those symptoms of what led you to pass out, but we'll leave that for the moment. So the O stands for the onset. So tell me about what happened when it first came on.
Okay, so for about a week it's been hurting a little bit, but progressively over time it has been getting worse.
Okay, fine.
Very good. So you can finish watching this video at home. And I have also prepared for you this very nice conversation that you can use at the reception of the doctor. For example, simple as, hey, I'd like to see a doctor. Or, do you have an appointment? This is the reception. Is it urgent? And then common problems. Have we said? We've seen quite a few. Then, this is what our friend was doing. He was doing an anamnesis, so a history of your pain. So first the doctor is going to ask you a history of your pain, a history of your medical record. So for example, if you have high blood pressure, if you take any medication for other problems, if someone in your family had cancer or a stroke or a heart attack, something they need to know as much as possible about you, your medical history. Then the doctor is going to examine you. So, learn your body parts, and he's going to diagnose. So as you can see here, you have a lot of vocabulary you can use, a lot of language chunks you can use for your anamnesis. You can say if you are asthmatic, diabetic, epileptic, or I need, or I'm having difficulty breathing. So all of these things the doctor needs to know. And you need to discuss your symptoms, as you can see, as you have seen in the FIDO. And then he's going to examine you. So he's going to ask you, where does it hurt? Does it hurt if I press here? Or it's going to ask you to do something. Could you roll up your sleeve? I need to take your blood pressure. And then is what we were looking at, is going to give you some treatments and advice. So we said sometimes it uses should, and I'm going to show you now that we can also use may when we're talking about, especially the pharmacist is going to use may, but should. So first we looked at should here. So should is an advice. So it is strongly recommended that you do something. So it implies that the writer recommends and advises the reader to use that option. Okay? And then, and it's actually should plus have plus past participle is a common construction in English. Now, let's go back to your book and let's have a look at when we use may. As you can see here, we have some warnings which match the pharmacist's advice. So, for example, take with food. We said we use the imperative, no subject. Or should, we've already seen when he gives us some advice. But as you can see here, we also have may cause dizziness, this medicine may be taken with or without food, or this medication may cause constipation. So when do we use may? May is used to express possibility, okay, in the present or in the past. So in this case, may means purely optional. Does not imply that the writer recommends the option to the reader. So it is optional. It may be taken with or without food. So if you need to take something with food, we say you should take this medicine with food or after eating. But in this case, you may be taken with or may be taken without food. Or it may cause dizziness. Not to everybody, but it may. There is a possibility. So let's have a look. So listen again to the file and let's have a look at which warnings actually match the pharmacist's advice. So here I would just remind you to use the imperative mood, and imperative mood has no subject and the verb at the base form. So dialogue 1, it was image number 6. Dialogue 2, we have more than one. We have image number 2, image number 5, and here should be taken with plenty of water, and image number 8, this medication may cause constipation. Dialogue 3, it would be 4, swallow whole, do not crush or chew, that's important. Or in number 5 again, and number 2 may cause dizziness. Instead, number 1, 3, and 7 have no match, but certainly you can easily find this on the medication, on many medications. So, very good. Now, let's listen to Clive's advice now. So here we have been to the pharmacist, maybe to the doctor, but sometimes for minor illnesses, for something not very serious, we can actually just have some home remedies. And these are just advices, home remedies. So let's have a look at some home remedies. Let's listen to it.
5A.
I was stung by a jellyfish when I was a kid. That was painful.
I bet. Poor you. What did you do?
Well, my mom always kept some vinegar in our first aid kit. And whenever we got stung, she put vinegar on it.
Vinegar?
Yes. My advice to anyone who gets stung or bitten is put vinegar on it or lemon juice. It really does the trick.
Really? I've never heard of that before. Do you know any other home remedies?
Now you come to mention it.
So what is Clive's advice? Is to put vinegar in it if you get stung or bitten by something, or maybe lemon juice. So if you next time you go to the beach and maybe you get stung by a jellyfish, remember to pack vinegar with you. Now, let's listen to other home remedies. Here we have 4 verbs: put, eat, drink, and chew. So there are some home remedies. So I want to know the home remedy and I want to know what illness it is for. So try and guess first. Now we're going to listen to it and find out.
5C.
Now you come to mention it, I think I'm something of an expert.
Well, let's hear what you've got for us then.
How about this? My remedy for travel sickness is chew a piece of ginger.
Ugh! I think that would give me travel sickness. I've got one too. My remedy for an upset stomach is drink Coke and eat pretzel sticks. It works every time.
Good one. Here's one just come in on Twitter. It's from Lily. Her remedy for a rash or allergy is put olive oil on it. Not sure about that.
Sounds interesting. Here's another one, sent in by text from Kath. She says she often gets constipation on holiday. Not very nice at all. And she doesn't like taking laxatives. Her remedy is drink a glass or 2 of warm water with fresh lime juice and a spoonful of honey. Now that sounds delicious.
I've heard that eating yogurt is a good remedy for diarrhea. I've never tried it, though, I have to say.
I've got a good remedy for a hangover.
Okay, come on then.
Well, what you do is...
Okay, brilliant. So here we have a lot of home remedies. So choose a piece of ginger if you have travel sickness. Put olive oil on a rash or allergy. Eat yogurt if you have diarrhea. Drink Coke and eat pretzel sticks if you have an upset stomach. And drink warm water with lime juice and honey if you are constipated, if you have constipation. Now, I would like to know from you if you have a very good remedy, home remedy for a hangover. Let me know. So, my home remedy for a hangover is to take a sauna. So if you're lucky enough to have a sauna nearby and you've had too much drinking the night before, too much to drink the night before, you can always take a sauna. So please let me know what your home remedy is. And if you think you have discovered something really good, at the end you can tell me it really does the trick. So, thank you very much for your attention. That's all from me tonight. And as always, I hope to see you soon. Bye bye.